until showtime. The show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 1.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting edition of Solar Now and the Future with its economic impact on Black America. And I'm your host, Ronald Bethea. And you know, if you join us on a regular basis, the slogan for this show is "There's power in numbers," and the Positive Change Purchasing Cooperative LLC captures that power for your financial benefit. The Positive Change Purchasing Cooperative LLC serves as an economic blueprint for renewable energy companies, both large and small, along with increasing market share for African and African American owned renewable energy companies to address the high energy costs at our historically Black colleges and universities. You utilize Black-owned farmlands and HBCU campuses to develop capacity and initiatives for renewable energy projects to bring down the underemployment of young African and African American men and women locally, nationally, and throughout the diaspora. Also to educate the African and African American community locally and nationally about the economic impacts of climate change and the need for environmental education through Black Talk Radio programs such as Solar Now and the Future with its economic impact on Black America. Ladies and gentlemen, we are doing a historic show today. This is our 400th show. We are doing our very, very last show on the platform of Blog Talk Radio, which we've been broadcasting over this platform since 2016. They have come to the end of the run of their operation, and today's day, December 30th, 2024, we are doing our year-end review for Solar Now and the Future with its economic impact on Black America. And most of you who have joined me over the years, you know that our call-in number is 646-668-2948. Once again, our call-in number is 646-668-2948. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't have a scheduled guest today, and I'm doing the end of the year review of 2024, which has been a very historic year in itself. A year where we saw an African-American woman being run as the lead candidate or in the Democratic Party for the presidency of the United States of America. Unfortunately, Ms. Kamala Harris is her campaign was unsuccessful. She lost the election by a mere 2%. So there was no mandate by the gentleman I refer to as COVID 45 plus 2. Most of you know him as Donald Trump. When the final votes were counted. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, there are a lot of other things that happen in the energy world as it relates to African and African Americans in 2024. I have raised the question as the former president of the National Association of Blacks in Solar, which in 2024, we were able to elect a younger and a very young, dynamic brother by the name of Nathaniel Daly, who now serves as president of the National Association of Blacks in Solar. And yours truly no longer serves in that capacity. I am now serving in the capacity as chairman of the board for the board of directors for the National Association of Blacks in Solar, which in itself is somewhat a different role, but we will continue to do the same thing by raising the question that we raised 4 years ago when the Biden-Harris administration was first coming into office. Where is the Green Economic Development Plan in the implementation of the Biden Build Back Better and the Inflation Reduction Act and the Invest in America agenda, which over the last 4 years, according to data that I was able to receive from Dr. Ali who is working at the head of the forestry division in Northern Virginia Antes Santiago, who is a well-renowned environmentalist. Dr. Ali Santiago has spoken on this platform in the past. We were able to hear him at Bowie State University back in, which was it, June or July of this year, when Bowie State University provided and hosted an African summit. And yours truly, we were there, and he shared with the listening audience that out of $1.7 trillion that have flown through the 6 federal agencies, through the executive order 14008, which gave rise to the Justice 40 initiative, that only less than 2% had been directed and received by African Americans. Banks, churches, CDFIs, nonprofits, and Black businesses, which in itself, to me, is a tragedy. These are things that all have taken place in the year of 2024, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to go back and we're going to look at the actual year by looking at how do we get here. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we were having some technical difficulties here with our live stream, but we are now on the airways, and we are also streaming over our YouTube channel here on the platform of Solar Now and the Future with its economic impact on Black America. And if anyone would be interested in knowing where this sweatshirt that I'm wearing came from, this is one of our designs that we did several years back for the King March here in Washington, D.C. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as we began to sort of drill down on things that actually took place in fiscal year 2024, we're going to look at how we sort of put things into perspective. So what we did, ladies and gentlemen, we went back to our archives and we looked at our year under our news and events tab. We went back to January of 2024 and doing the year in review. And the biggest thing that caught my eye and my attention in January 2024 was the announcement that came through for Texas Southern University, which TSU and the Bullock Center, who is the founder of the Environmental Justice Group at Texas Southern University, did in fact the U.S. Department of EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, announced that the Bullock Center and the Environmental Climate Justice Department at Texas Southern University would be selected as one of the 11 grant makers under the $60 billion Environmental Justice Thriving Communities Fund. Now, This is one of the initiatives under the Office of EJE at EPA. As we will talk about that as we close our show out, as one of the most important things to take in matters that have gone unaddressed is that the codification of the funding for the offices of energy, justice, and equity and diversity in all 6 federal agencies, which were created by an executive order signed by President Biden. That executive order I've already mentioned was 14008. In that executive order, it clearly showed how and where the funding came from for the initiatives that all came through the various agencies, from housing, agriculture, Department of Energy, EPA, and your other federal agencies here in Washington, D.C. And as we've indicated here, that Texas Southern University was able to receive funding through the Thriving Communities. The Biden-Harris administration announced $600 million to 11 grant makers to fund thousands of environmental justice projects across the nation as part of Investing in America agenda, which we spoke about that. Now, on December 20th, 23, they put out a press release from EPA concerning that. And this was a big deal, ladies and gentlemen, a major, major, major deal. And we want to look at the entities that were selected. EPA selected the following 9 organizations to serve as regional environmental justice thriving communities for grant making. Health Resources in the Action, Massachusetts. Fordham University, New York. Green and Health Homes Institute of Maryland. And there were a number of other entities that were involved in this. And you haven't heard one word from any of these organizations about the rollout of this funding and these opportunities. Research Triangle Institute, North Carolina. Minneapolis Foundation, Minnesota. Texas Southern University in Houston, Texas. JSI Research Triangle Institute in Colorado. Social and Environmental Entrepreneurs in California. Philanthropy, Northwest Washington. And these were the entities. In addition, EPA has elected 3 national environmental justice thriving organizations for grant-making opportunities: the Institute for Sustainable Communities, Vermont, Research Triangle Institute, North Carolina, Climate Justice Alliance, California. Those were the entities, ladies and gentlemen, that received the $600 million. And we'll be receiving that money, your tax dollars. If I were you, I would definitely give them a call to find out about the rollout of these programs and who got funded and how can you partake in the benefit of these programs, because they are your tax dollars. Now, we've been rolling right along, and you know that the call-in number for this show is 646-668-2948. Once again, that call-in number is 646-668-2948. As we've indicated, ladies and gentlemen, this is our very last show that we will be doing over this platform of Blog Talk Radio. We're streaming via Facebook, X, and Twitter, and Link. We are also, ladies and gentlemen, letting you know that this program is brought to you every week. You know who brings you this show. This show is brought to you by the National Association of Blacks in Solar, Black Sports Legends Foundation, BSLF HBCU Solar Radio Talk Show Initiative. You can get more information on that initiative by logging on to our website at positivechangepc.com. Go over to our GoFundMe link, and always remember, ladies and gentlemen, we're not the greedy, we're just the needy here on this platform, because we certainly need your assistance to try to upgrade and bring you this program on a weekly basis. As I've indicated, the platform of Blog Talk Radio has indicated that they would be going out of business, and they would I'd be no longer able to bring you this broadcast over that platform. So we have been making strategic moves to do just that, ladies and gentlemen. Now, as I indicated, in January, you had TSU being identified to receive that. Now, also, ladies and gentlemen, in 2024, utility companies busted in huge dark money by a a plot. Now, this was a piece that I felt deserved some attention, and we wanted to give that attention to this today. So we're playing a short piece on this. Ladies and gentlemen, that's 2024. We didn't make this out. You can go to our February news and events here at Positive Change, PC.com, and you can hear it in its entirety. We just wanted to give you just a little snippet of why your electric bill is so damn high. And we're going to get to that one later on because that's another one of the pieces of information that we dropped in 2024 with the utility companies always knocking on your door. Every 30 days, they read that meter. And you and I, we both pay. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's sort of take a look at what else happened in 2024 that was a major, major piece. Now, I have to admit that one of the things that sort of was a little different from, but it hit the housing market because the industry was created called the short-term lease rental industry. Many of you know it by commercials on TV by the two national brand names. One is known as Airbnb and the other known as Vrbo. And in 2023 fiscal year, Airbnb generated $8.7 billion with an app. Vrbo generated $1.7 billion. Those are the two national brands that we know of, ladies and gentlemen. But when we began to look at the entire short-term lease rental industry in 2023, it did $64 billion in the U.S. alone and $109 billion worldwide. Now, that ties back into what? Energy, because you can't run anything without electricity. So, with that being said, what was unique about 2024? There was something called the Corporate Transparency Act, known as the BIO report, which Congress passed. It was in fiscal year 2020-19, it was introduced. 2021, it was passed. It was introduced by Congresswoman out of Upper New York State. I'll think of her name in a minute. But this bill was passed allegedly to stop illicit business practices for laundering money to finance terrorism. Well, I beg the difference. My research told me that follow the money, follow the money, follow the money. It was something different. It was called the short-term lease rental industry because it has been kicking the hotel and motel industry in the United States of America's ass since 2016. And who came to power in 2016? Oh, COVID 45. We know him as Donald Trump. Now, during his administration, before it went out in 19, this bill was introduced. As I indicated, it passed in 2021, but it didn't kick in to 2024. And it stood for, if in fact you incorporate a business before 2024, January 1, 2024, and you have until December 31st, which is tomorrow. The day is December the 30th, 2024, to file the report with a branch of the U.S. Department of Treasury. And that division is called as FinCEN. It's called a BIO report. If you incorporated a business with a state register, a government, a city registered for business, and you incorporated after January 1 of 2024, you had 90 days to file that report. If you did not file that report, fines as high as $591 a day have kicked in. Now, it all depends on whether you, in fact, file a report and how they plan to enforce this, which will be done by IRS. Things that people don't realize, that there are some very, very stiff fines if you knowingly or unknowingly put the wrong ownership. If people own 25% of that company or more, if there's 4 people and each person owns 25%, says a limited liability corporation, all 4 names must be there. But that must be on the records, because if they check and find out it's misleading information, then the government decides they want to come after you. The fines can jump from 10,000 because they're going to let it build up to 10,000 before you get your first note. But it can go up to 250,000, and there's 2.5 years of federal jail time if you can't pay the fine. Now, you didn't do the crime, so you shouldn't have to do time for not having the dime to take care of Uncle Sam when he comes knocking. But if, in fact, they see where more than $100,000 has gone through your bank account in the last 12 months, and they decide they want to go through, those fines can jump up from $250,000 to $500,000, and there's 10 years of federal jail time if they believe that you are actually doing something illicit and wrong with this funding based on this law. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this bill there in March of 2024, which was historical, the National Small Business Trade Association brought a lawsuit out of, I think that was the 6th district out of Alabama. Judge ruled this was unconstitutional, and it was Congress did not have the power. It was overreaching, but it only covered the 60,000 members who were members of the National Small Business Trade Association as of March 1, 2024. In December of 2024, this year, on the 3rd, in the 5th district of Texas, East Texas, a judge also ruled, and he put on a national injunction, also saying it was unconstitutional and that people did not have to comply. But somebody gave him as they said in the Godfather, the movie, maybe he got an offer he couldn't refuse or whatever. But on December the 23rd, 2024, of 2024, historical year after the election, this is impacting 42 to 32 million businesses. And if you make under gross receipts under 5 million a year and have less than 20 employees, you had to file this report. There were some exemptions. Now, you'll be able to find all this information under my news and events tab by logging on to PositiveChangePC.com. You want to go over to our news and events tab, and you want to stroll down, and you will be able to find all of this information in sequence. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to your host, Ron Bethea, on Solar Now with the Future. Solar Now and the Future with its economic impact on Black America. And as you know, that call-in number is 646-668-2948. Once again, that call-in number is 646-668-2948. Now, as I indicated, ladies and gentlemen, this was a very, very, very historical year as it relates to looking at things, and we have been working on and carrying this information, and we want to let you sort of get a little bit about more information on this Corporate Transparency Act as and what actually happened with this. And we've been carrying this particular uh, uh, video and providing this information. And as we indicated, it was breaking news, and it took place back on December the 23rd. And companies still have to comply. But you will be able to find that article. Under that article, it'll give you the date U.S. District Court halts reporting requirements for Corporate Transparency Act, which was December the 3rd. Now, this is a video that we've been playing for our listening audience and folks around the country to so that they could come to our website and get this information, and it would not be a problem for them being able to keep up with what was going on as it relates to filing this BIO report. Now, the caption under our news and events will say urgent. New IRS law makes side hustle and business owners pay. And at that time, it was $500 a day, but they've increased it by $91 unless you do this. Now, that particular article, which we just clicked on our link, doesn't seem to be coming up right now, but we're going to keep it moving here on the platform of Solar Now and the Future with its economic impact on Black America. We're going to try it once again. Now we have it here. We are looking at a video, and the young lady does such an excellent job, Mrs. Monique Hinton. And we're going to play a little bit of this for you, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Mrs. Hinton. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a real video that you'll be able to find up on our news and events tab. I wanted to make sure that I could keep everything moving here on, on the platform and keep it moving fluently. This video will explain everything that you need to know if you are not in compliance with the Corporate Transparency Act by now. We have carried this video for the last 10 months at the top of our news and events blog on our platform here at Positive Change Purchasing Cooperative on our online digital radio TV podcast network. And if you click on our news and events tab, you'll be able to find this information. Like I said, this is very serious business, ladies and gentlemen. Now, in the Corporate Transparency Act, there were exemptions, 23 exemptions. You will also be able to find that information. You will find that nonprofit organizations, 501c3 organizations, were exempt. But there was another bill, which is very troubling, called H.R. 9495, which was introduced, and it has passed the House, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen. And if you go to our website, you will see an article under our news and events about Democrats who wanted to give COVID-45 plus 2 more power. And this law is coming out of the Department of Treasury, Department of Treasury, enforced by the Department of Justice, that says if your organization is classified and designated with a terrorist designation, that you have 90 days to appeal this designation. That means you got to hire a lawyer and you got to move forward. So if you are a college university and you have students and they are protesting, which they have the right, First Amendment rights to do that on these campuses as students. But if the administration wants to kick in because they feel as though their 501c3 status as a university could be pulled, if that gets out of hand with the protests with the students, now I'm just giving you cause and effect, ladies and gentlemen. This is a law. The ACLU has sent letters. Yours truly, I've called my Congressman Glenn Ivey. I've called my Senator Van Hollen here in the state of Maryland, where I'm located at Tacoma Park, and registered my concern about this. Nobody could tell me anything about what the status of this bill over on the Senate side. It passed the House, but there were so many calls and texts and emails going to the Hill on this thing. There were 52 Democrats that had signed on to support this bill. By the time it passed, only 15 actually voted for it because people got up in arms about it, that knew about it, that responded. And yours truly was one of those who responded. Case in point is it still passed the House. It's now in the Senate. I don't know what's going to happen over on that end, but stay tuned to coming attractions, because your 501c3 status of your nonprofit organization can be snatched away from you, and they don't have to provide any proof or evidence. Now, if that ain't the return of Jim Crow in 24 with COVID-45 plus 2 knocking on the door, I don't know. And ain't nobody got to tell me, because I've lived long enough. If you are looking at me, you can sort of see this gray. I earned every strand of it. Okay? Now, if you live long enough, you will understand that I've seen this B movie before. It looks like a nightmare on my street, but I won't digress. So getting back to our platform today here on Solar Now and the Future with its economic impact on Black America, this is the year in review as we're taking a look at 2024 and what's knocking at the door. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, there were some very, very critical things that happened in 2024. And many of us, we slept it, or we missed it, or we just didn't get up for it. But it happened anyway. See, like I said, things go on. They used to tell me things go on with you or without you, but it will happen. So, with that being said, here on the platform of Solar Now and the Future with its economic impact on Black America, we're trying to make sure that we keep bringing you news that you can definitely use here on this platform. So, when we look at the opportunities and things that came down the pike in 2024, there was a ton of things that happened, but they could not have happened had it not been for Executive Order 14008, which put the funding out to make these things happen. And from a very, very historical standpoint, we're going to sort of delve into that. And as I indicated, this is a press release that yours truly here at Positive Change, we put out requesting that President Biden and the Harris administration work with the 18th Congress going into the 119th Congress to codify funding for the offices of energy justice and equity across all 6 federal agencies. Now, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of things took place in 2024. And before I jump into this, I'm going to share a little more with you from 2024. And as we try to reinforce some of the things that we heard and the things that were taking place here on the platform of Solar Now and the Future with its economic impact on Black America, we are still busy, as we say, trying to make it happen. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, there was a video that we wanted to sort of share with you that sort of address some of the issues that we were speaking to. And I'm trying to get to those issues right now, ladies and gentlemen. Now, this particular video here was entitled, "Why Are Your Electric Bills So Damn High?" ladies and gentlemen, as we said, you can get it all here on this network, Solar Now and the Future, with its economic impact on Black America. You want to go down to our video gallery, you want to click on that, and you definitely want to listen to that entire piece. Now, we're trying to move through 2024, and there was a lot of information that kept knocking on the door. So we're going to sort of give you some other information here, ladies and gentlemen, about some of the things that took place in 2024 here on the program of Solar Now and the Future, with its economic impact on Black America. Now, we looked up and we saw how the Biden and Harris administration had, in fact, done quite a bit of work in trying to launch various initiatives. And through something called the Greenhouse Gas Initiative, through the Environmental Protection Agency, back on April 22nd of 2024, made an announcement of some $7 billion going out of its agency to 60 different grantees. And in the state of Maryland, the Maryland Clean Energy Center was the grantee that would receive the funding for the state of Maryland. In the District of Columbia, the Department of Energy and Environment was to receive the funding. On April the 8th of 2024, the Biden administration put out a press release indicating, because of budget constraints for 2024 here at our nation's capital, the DC residents would have to go on a waiting list and apply to be considered to get funding for the Solar for All pilot program, which was started here in 2011 by Mr. Ted Trabue, who serves on the DC Public Service Commission, who was formerly head of DC Sustainable Utility, called DCSCU, which is a private entity that sounds like a DC government agency, but it's not. But they're the ones who were contracted by DOEE to pay the companies who were vetted by the Department of Energy and Environment to do the installs of solar PV systems on low and moderate income homes in wards 5, 6, 7, and 8 low and moderate income communities in our nation's capital. Long and short, ladies and gentlemen, knowing, I think that the district was aware that they would probably be one of the recipients of this $62,450,000 grant, $62,450,000, which was announced on the 22nd of April. This all took place here in 2024. Maryland, the Maryland Clean Energy Center. All of the funding are still parts of the initiatives that came through the EJE offices of the 6 federal agencies through the Justice 40 Initiative. Greenhouse Gas Initiative had $27 billion in it. This $7 billion went to fund a pilot which was started here in Washington, D.C., called the Solar for All program. Now, this program was to benefit some 900,000 low and moderate income residents nationwide. There is a list of those grantees are. You can go to EPA's website, or you can go to our website and you can click on it and you can find out who that entity was in your state that's supposed to be receiving that funding so you can apply to get some help if you're interested in putting a PV system on your roof. I'm very much interested in doing that after contacting the Maryland Clean Energy Center and being given some, I would say, partial misinformation, because she indicated that they would be signing contracts in the first week of December of 2024. We're still in December of 2024. Today's date is December the 30th, 2024. So from the time that Biden signed this 4 years ago, it took them 4 years on the last month, because January 20 of 2025, COVID 45 plus 2 comes back into office, and the issue of energy justice, equity, inclusion, and diversity can go all out the window, because these specific components of the government came from that. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, you want to go to our news and events tab, and you want to follow the press release that we have put out to address this issue. Now, that press release, as I've indicated, will read, requesting that the Biden-Harris administration work with the 118th and going into the 119th Congressional Congress, because they didn't pass a budget. They passed the short-term resolution, the CR. So they kicked the ball down the road. So this can still be done. Codify funding for the offices of energy, justice, and equity across all 6 federal agencies. Now, you'll be able to hear a show that I've done on the topic. Question: where is the Green Economic Development Plan in the implementation of the Executive Order 14008, Invest in America agenda? The words justice, equity, diversity, inclusion have been constantly used inside 6 government agencies over the last 4 years. What do they really mean? When these departments are threatened to be completely eliminated, and you can read how we've laid this out, and we've also provided you with a year in review from the Office of Energy and Justice and Equity, from the Department of Energy, Equity and Justice Office, a letter from Mrs. Tamala M. Gordon, who is the director, who's acting principal director for the Office of Energy, Justice, and Equity. And their highlights for the various initiatives that have been passed and put into place. You'll be able to get them all. Resilience Hubs in Puerto Rico, Justice Equity Week. They're all here, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of our year-end review for 2024 here on this platform, Solar Now and the Future, with its economic impact on Black America. We hope that we brought you something that's been inspiring over this past year. We have worked very hard, very diligently to make these things happen, but they don't happen without cost. So we would hope that you would go to our website, and remember, we're not greedy, we're just the needy here at this platform, Solar Now and the Future, with its economic impact on Black America. Because, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a true struggle to keep this platform up, going, and running, to bring you these weekly shows on a constant basis. And as we struggle with this, we struggle with it because we know it is needed. people say, well, why do you do what you do? You do what you do because it's needed to be done. And that is what we do here on this platform, Solar Now and the Future, with its economic impact on Black America, as we are working through the process of trying to get back onto Blog Talk Radio, as we are trying to close out another exciting edition of Blog Talk Radio. We are once again working, and we hope to be able to bring you more shows here in the near future. We will probably be off the air until we are able to end up securing another platform that we will be broadcasting over the airways, because we know here on the platform that it, as we've indicated, that it has been definitely a struggle to try and keep things going here on the platform of Solar Now and the Future, with its economic impact on Black America. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we are appreciative of you listening to us as we close another exciting edition of Solar Now and the Future, with its economic impact on Black America. And as we always closing, doing closing, we don't ask you to beat us here. We ask meet us here. We ask you to beat us here as we close another exciting edition of Solar Now and the Future, with its economic impact on Black America. Until next week, we say go in peace here on the platform of Solar Now and the Future, with its economic impact on Black America.